Masterclass. So how many people here are into photography or are hoping to get into photography? Any hands? All right, so I can see some hands. And how many of you are into fashion design, or you're hoping to get into fashion design? We have two giants in both industries about to come onto the stage. So the very first person I'm about to call on, he is a photographer, but you know there's levels to photography, yo. So this man has had work published in GQ magazine, Vogue Italia, and if you go to the Grammy Museum right now, you will see his work. Do you know who I'm about to call onto the stage? No? Should I tell you? Yes? It is the one, the only, incredible Reese. How are you doing?
I'm fine. You?
I'm great, thank you. Now our second person, he is a fashion designer all the way from South Africa. Yes, I know. His collections have showcased at the Cape Town Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, and also New York Fashion Week. Are you ready for him, ladies and gentlemen? Please give a round of applause to David Talley.
Hello everyone. So basically this is meant to be an interactive session. For those of us who are interested in fashion, my side is photography, and then you know he's a fashion designer and you've seen his work on the runway today. So basically we're going to talk about, on my side, photography as part of our internal creative process in fashion, marketing, fashion. How many people are into photography here? Okay. So how many are into fashion photography or interested in fashion photography? I see very few hands. Maybe because I detailed it to say fashion. Okay, I see more hands there. But I'd like to say that we all are into fashion photography in one way or the other. It used to be specific in the sense where before you had people, we call them guys with people with cameras, but now everyone takes a selfie. Everyone is on Instagram, Facebook, and different social media platforms, and that's fashion photography because you're putting on clothes, you're trying to look good, and you're trying to show off what you have. So we're basically all into it, but we don't realize it. And when you take those pictures, it's someone's brand you're showing, and you could decide it's your brand if you're a designer, or it could be someone who has, let's say, engaged you to take on the job. But we want to talk about the different steps it could take, to do that. If you want to go into fashion photography, first of all, you must understand what fashion is. You must understand what kind of fashion you're trying to portray. You must understand what culture you're coming from, and then who your target market is, what your brand represents, where you're going to sell it, the output medium, and then decide, for instance, if it's magazines, what kind of magazine are you trying to sell to? If it's Vogue, they must have some ethos, they must have a certain style. If it's some other brand name or a no-name magazine, they must have a certain style. And so you must understand who you are pitching to. And then who is your client? Is it the designer? Is it the makeup artist? Or the model? Or the stylist? Or is it the photographer? Because oftentimes we mix that up as well. Where you see where we take pictures that look pretty, but they don't tell the story. For instance, if you're shooting a model for a model portfolio, the pictures look pretty, but then they're over-retouched. And when you do that, you think your images are great. But then she submits to an agency and they don't accept the images because that's not a representation of the person they need to take. Because now once that model is signed to the agency, then the agency has a certain style as well. And you must understand the style of the agency you're working with. Some of them don't want overtly retouched images, some want them natural, some like black and white, and all of that. Then we go to the designer. If your client is a designer, you have to understand what do they do, what do they sell, what do they like. Is it clothes, is it dresses, is it casual, is it formal? Is it the last, did we see the last presentation here? Right? We all saw the last presentation, the jockey presentation. Now, for instance, jockey makes underwear. And for ladies would wear bra and panties, right? But then you might also have other clients who do the same bra and panties, but they're doing them for swimwear. So you need to understand the mood for swimwear, the mood for lingerie, and then the poses necessary, how not to make it overtly sexy if it doesn't need to be, and choose the right kind of model, because we have lingerie models, underwear models, and all of that. So those are the little details that we're speaking about here. And I'm saying, as a photographer, you need to understand who your client is and not sell yourself. The least important person in that whole creative process is the photographer. But if I do that and you see more of me and less of the model, then it's a problem. Or less of the brand we're selling, then it's a problem. Because that brand has a certain style and they have certain details that you need to tell and understand. So David is here, we collaborate a lot, we do lots of shoots together, and I need to understand the David Lally brand, which is luxury. And if it's high fashion, then what we're selling is a lifestyle. And so it's not just the clothes, but the lifestyle of the person who can afford it. And I need to understand that. At this point, would you have any comments to make or any contributions?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So, what Reese talks about is, in his field, you gotta understand the client. And I think from my side as a designer, I always have a look and feel what I want to captivate or the narrative that we want to tell with a particular connection or what story are we saying. So it's very, very important that you click first with the photographer. You must have a groove going on. You can't just take anyone that don't understand your creative madness. So I think it's been long coming that we've been working with Reese, and he's one of the best people that I've worked with in the industry. People like Kleche, and there are many other photographers that you work with, but you have to make sure that you connect with the creative that you're working with.
So I'm wondering if there are any questions before I go ahead. Would you have any questions in the audience? Like I said, it's interactive. If you do, then we can take them down so that at the end of this we can answer if you have any questions, keeping that in mind. So I think the most important thing is we need to get to a point where within Africa we can build brands that can compete internationally. We need to understand that our market is international. What we see all the time now is, as Africans, we keep selling the story that we're African creatives. And I think at some point we need to get to see that the world is the market. Because the world is actually looking out here, and there are opportunities to sell and market what we have. For instance, even here locally, we have become #1 pop culture in the world. Everyone is talking about Afrobeats. And so those are opportunities where even the artists can take on clothes from designers, wear them in their videos, and sell them. Rather than where you have in your lyrics and in your videos, we're screaming names outside. If we start screaming internal names, if we start screaming local names, if we start, pushing more of that, then we grow our industry together. But the first thing is we need to be sure of quality. quality is the first challenge that we have, and that's, you know, what I think has been a challenge, especially if we want to call it luxury. Quality is the most important thing. So study, do your study, find out what are the details for what you want to do. Make sure your brand can compete outside. And then from there you can begin to specialize.
Where I won the competition, and that's how basically I launched my brand. And over the years, I've showcased in South Africa mostly. I'm currently affiliated with African Fashion International, and I've showcased at Arise Fashion Week. I was showcased at the York Fashion Week Paris. I do a lot of work in the continent. I've showcased so many times in Nigeria, in many platforms, and I believe in the power of a brand built and made in Africa by Africans or by South Africans. And my biggest journey is we as Africans, we have so much to offer to the world, and yet we don't capitalize on it. We tend to believe in everything that comes from Europe or America and think that it is it. But my take is we need to start appreciating who we are. We need to start appreciating what we stand for. We need to start appreciating what makes us as Africans, or what defines us as Africans. Yes. So, in the current days, or in the current life that we all live in, we only think that international brands can only be luxury. We don't understand that actually luxury started in Africa. And Africans, we define what luxury is. Is it okay for me to stand up? I'm sure it's okay, right? So we can all have a chat instead of just sitting here and then we can have a good time. Do you have a mic? Okay. I'm going to ask questions. How many of us are all about fashion here? How many of us are budding designers? Who wants to be a fashion designer? How many fashion designers do we have here? Fashion? Okay. It's going to be quick. And then we're going to be done. And then we're going to move on. We're going to have a good time in Lagos. Isn't it? Alright, who's got the mic? We're almost getting ready with the mic. Who can tell me what is luxury? What is luxury? Does anyone know what luxury is? No? You can raise a hand, it's just like, you want to answer? While they're fixing the mic.
Luxury to me means anything that seems expensive and has a million.
Okay. Something that looks or seems to be expensive. And who else?
Hi, so David, for me, luxury is attention to detail. It is when I see something luxurious, or when I buy a luxurious garment, it is the epitome, especially in fashion, of a designer putting heart and soul and passion and time into a garment. And that's where luxury comes from.
Amazing. You say it's lifestyle. What is luxury?
It will be quality, attention to detail, aesthetics, and just quality, really.
Okay.
Luxury is comfort, expensive, and water. I like the water view part.
Water. What a view. There, right next in front of you.
To me, I understand luxury like something very expensive, very valuable, and something you can't get very easily.
Okay.
Let's do one more. Just one more.
One more.
Something I understand, like, it's very expensive. You're trying to get comfort from it, but it's not necessary.
Okay, sorry, you say what?
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Yes.
Okay, there's one more hand here.
Where? Here.
Right here. Yeah, let's take a few hands. Yes.
I think luxury is elegance, comfort, and involves great amount of money to get the comfort.
All right. 1, 2, and then we're done.
You better have a good answer.
For me, luxury is high quality, expensive taste.
Expensive taste, all right?
Yes.
There's one, the gentleman in the blue there.
Yeah, luxury is a satisfied lifestyle.
Satisfied lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, this gentleman really wants to speak. Please, last guy.
Yeah, in relation to fashion, luxury is something of elegance. For you to detect or get comfort out of it, and it is expensive.
Okay. So, luxury is all about authenticity. It's all about original. It's all about the story that you want to tell. It's about the narrative. It's about the essence of your product. The next slide, just want to run through quickly through this. Next one, we'll come back to this. Next one. Right. In Africa, we are the people that know what luxury is. Because everything that we've started with in Africa, we did it by hand to tell a particular story. If you look at, I'm going to tell you a simple story about the woman in the middle, Mama Esther Mashambu. The beadwork on neck pieces that she's wearing, it's all done by hand. And I know that also you guys here in Nigeria, you also do that. As a continent, that's what you specialize in what? Luxury. A simple thing that you may ask yourself is that how many hours do you think the neck piece that she's wearing takes to make just one?
Sorry, how many people know Nikkei Art Gallery? Do you know that? So that's the equivalent of the person he's speaking about.
Okay? So, if you ask yourself how many hours it takes just to make one neck piece, and you start counting the number of beads that actually go into what? Into one neck piece. Now she's wearing about 1, 2, 3, and then there's the gold chain there. And then there's one piece, I hope it's in the next slide. Can you just like, give me the next slide? No, let's go back. Go back, sorry. So, there's a particular apron that the developed people actually wear. When we make that apron, in South Africa, the base of that apron is made out of a lamb skin, like sheep, baby sheep, slaughtered. Then from there they let the skin dry. After it's dried up, they start taking what? Stone and make it soft by hand. Before they even start doing what? The geometrics, the patterns on the apron. I hope we're gonna get to it. So you look at the man on your far right. All that work, all the pieces that he's wearing, they're all done by hand. And it takes hours and hours and hours to get there, but it's a particular tradition, a particular narrative that he actually wants to tell. And then you look at the woman on your left, look at the adornment on the headpiece. That is luxury. Because what are you doing? You want to give people a feeling. You want to give people an experience. And if it's done in like, there's like, I'm just gonna make an example. It's luxury brand in our percentage, in our mindset. But if there's 5,000 of these bags made globally, it's no longer luxury. It's a basic bag that everybody can carry. If you want luxury, I'm going to tell you a simple example then. You think about Hermes. It's luxury, okay? Because it's custom made for a client. You look at this handbag, it's Dior. How many in the world do they have? 5 of these in the world. This is luxury. You look at, don't think it's fabric, this is beads. From afar it looks like fabric. It's hand beaded. And if you look at inside this bag, there's a little love letter from Dior. It says, with best wishes, Christian Dior. It's handwritten. That is the narrative of luxury. Where am I going with this? I'm saying, in Africa, we tell our stories best. You look at the 3 images on the screen, they all from Africa. And what have we done? We've allowed the West to come here, take our influences, put it on international runway, and we think, oh my God, it's so amazing. Yep. It's luxury. Excuse me, where is this? This is made in Africa. Yep. We just don't amplify our stories enough. We don't believe in us as Africans. We say, oh, it's white, it's right. It doesn't work like that. Let's go to the next screen. You look at the likes of the blanket on your left, the blue blanket. It's a traditional Basotho blanket, one of the traditions in South Africa. And then a few years ago, or a few seasons ago, Louis Vuitton captured the moment. The images on the top there, in the middle, it's an inspiration from the Basotho blanket. They even went to another level of saying, taking the very Basotho blanket, put it on silk and put it on the runway, and the world was like, oh my God, Louis Vuitton is so great. Like, excuse me, you've taken our tradition, you've taken our influences, put it on an expensive fabric, and then you think it's groundbreaking. No. Then we look at Mani in Italy. We all know who Mani is. Now, these shoes on your far right there, originally they are from a traditional culture in South Africa, the Zulus. Look at the bottom picture there. Those shoes there, in South Africa, they called Imbatata or Imamlela. They cost less than 100 rands, maybe like $10. Okay? Mani saw an opportunity, took the influence, put it on money and branded it. The top layer, the top picture there on your right there, it's now Mani. Those shoes now, they cost anything like $1,500. Where does it come from? From Africa. I'm trying to show you that we need to start believing in what? In our stories. We need to start believing in our cultures, our heritage, and who we are. I mean, you look at the picture, the second picture from your left is from the Sepedi culture. It's another tradition in South Africa. Later on, Givenchy took on Sepedi and put it on the runway, and people say, many years ago, Dior took the Maasai waist trimmer and put it with a ball skirt and a corset and a galliano. People thought, oh my God, that would be such a genius. Yes, it's a genius. But what did he do? He came in Africa, looked at African aesthetics, and put it on the international map, and we think it's great. The thing is, for us, we don't look around us. We look far and not realize what we have.
I just wanted to say, unfortunately, you can't see the image on my phone, but it's an Ankara dress. And this Ankara dress, we all know Ankara, right? This Ankara dress is made by Stella Jean, and there are 2 of them. The first one goes for 675 pounds. And the second dress is 1,175 pounds. It's an Ankara dress.
And who wears Ankara? Who wears Ankara most? We do, right? But guess what? We allow the international markets to come in and take what we have. You look at the current Dior collection. It's purely Ankara, it's wax, and it's sold for $1,500 for a skirt, an Ankara skirt. Just because it's got Dior on it, now Ankara has become a phenomenon.
If you go out there, there are many stores I have seen in the fair that have products, quality products, that are made here. I was walking out with a senator and she was tired, she was really gonna leave. And then she saw a store and stopped and was, oh my goodness, I've been looking for this. And looked at bags. These were bags made here by a brand, Nicole by Haguana.
And she ended up leaving there with maybe about 6 or 7 or 8 orders because of the quality. That's luxury and that's Africa. We need to tell our story more.
Just to almost wrap it up, guys. So we look at amazing brands that come out of Africa. We've got the likes of Diola Sego, Mai Atafo, Tokyo James, you name it. In South Africa, we've got the likes of Makosa. We all know Makosa. Most of us do know. We've got the likes of David Clark, some guy who's currently talking. And then we've got the likes of Marianne Fassler. We have it going. I'm saying our responsibility to see the African continent growing is to say, let's start supporting one another. Because if we take our money and buy international brands, your Gucci, your Prada and everything, we say actually, the money that we work so hard for, there's nothing wrong with it. The money that we work so hard for, the money that we sacrifice, drive in the rain, spend sleepless nights, it's okay for us to ship it out of the continent and say, let's support the international market. Let's move on. The next one. The power of the social media and influencers, people that actually are supposed to define what Africa is. What do? They believe in local, they believe in international. But now this is the madness that I don't understand with celebrities. If they are listening, it's their problem. They're very happy to go spend $6,000 for this bag, and then they come to David Lale, they want to buy a dress for $300. Does that make sense? No. Or they go to Diola Sego, they're like, no, I'll only give you $2,000. But they're very happy to go into a luxury store and drop at least $4,000 for a simple shift dress. But the person who takes time and make your dress cut to your body so that when you walk out, it's made with perfection. You want to pay them what? Peanuts. Do you think that's right? And we as Africans, we do it very well. We're always about discount. Discount my sister, discount my brother. No, you're my brother, come now, let's do this. But you get to Gucci. Gucci don't know you. They don't understand that you are a pear shape, you got big ass, big boobs, small waist. They don't care. You're gonna buy it, you're gonna pay $8,000 and walk away without asking for discount. Am I right? But you come to Diola, or you come to Scalo, or you come to David, or people are very happy to go to Tom Ford and drop hundreds of dollars. But when they go to no, my brother, no, you're my brother. Let's make this work now. So we need to start changing that narrative. Let's move on. This is people that shape our fashion, our influencers, musicians. Let's play the next slide.
Next one.
Okay. Then there's platforms like Zenith, GT, Access, Arise, African Fashion International, you name it. These people are key role players that we need to start changing the narrative of what Africa stands for. If you look at the fashion shows that have been happening in the continent for the past 5 years, some of them have been amazing. They are on an international stage, but we need to start supporting these local platforms. Everyone that is trying to do something in fashion, we need to start amplifying it and make sure that our productions on a global scale, because the world is looking at what's happening in Africa. Whether you want to or not, the world is looking at what's happening in Africa. So we need to stop the mentality that, oh, it can't be perfect because it's made in Africa. That's crap. It must be perfect because it's made in Africa. Because who are the people that are working for everybody else in the world? The Africans. Why are we not taking our skills and showing off the world what we are capable of doing? I always say, when time comes that you go to luxury stores like the Beck of Goodman, Galerie Lafayette, Jeffrey Sachs on Fifth Avenue and everything else, if you see Stella McCartney, Donna Karan, there must be Diola Seco, David Clare, Tokyo James, Scalo, Tom Ford, and you name it. But there must not be any gray area between, because it's made in Africa. Because it's made in Africa, it must actually shine. Because what we do things in Africa from heart. We don't do it just because we just want to make clothes. We make it with heart. We tell a story, we tell a narrative, we tell our tradition, our diversity. That's very, very important. And everything that we do must be excellent. As I close my talk today, if you are sitting here, you want to be a designer, it's very important that you go to school. Don't think you're going to wing it. Don't think you're going to depend on your tailors to make clothes and call yourself a designer. If you have tailors and you call yourself a designer but you've never been to a fashion school, you are not a designer. You are somebody who puts collections or clothes together for people and then you sell them. If you're a designer, you should be able to sketch, put together a storyboard, you should be able to make patterns, you should be able to sit and sew the machine and the garment, and you should understand textiles, fabrics. You should be able to understand that. If you don't understand that chain, you're no designer. I know it happens a lot, and I see it a lot in our continent. Today, you're a model, or today, you're a stylist. Next week, when I come back to Nigeria, you're a designer, you've got a label. Meaning, me and you are already on the same level. The reason why our product is not excelling as Africans is because of these people that think, oh, I'm bored, let me have a few tailors that put together clothes for me. And what do we do? Because we like cheap things as Africans. We like discounts. Even if the hemline is horrible, you still pay. Even if the garment does not fit well, it's like, I'll bring it back, you'll fix it. Why should we accept such bad quality all the time? Excellence takes time. You look at major brands globally, people have gone to school. People have spent money, they spend time to be interns. But today's generation, they don't want to do internship. They want to like, oh, I'm tired of being a stylist. I've seen how these designers do it. You buy fabric, give it to the tailors, send out a collection. You ask the person, what is neckline suppression? They don't understand what neckline suppression is. You ask them, was this dress cut on bias or a straight leg? What is that? I don't understand. But you call yourself a designer. One day I'm going to do a masterclass about just the business of fashion, actually the basics of just making garments. Because people see garments like, oh, this is so easy to make, I can wing it. No. You must understand what fabric is this, what fuse you must use, what lining must you use, what temperature must you use to line the garment, what needle are you supposed to use. Those things we don't talk about as a continent. We're just like, come on, let's make clothes and let's change it out. It doesn't work like that. If you look at people that make garments, how many of us make garments here? How many of us make garments? You go to a designer. How many of us know what chiffon is? Come here, sis. Come here, my sister. This here is made out of chiffon, alright? It's not silk chiffon, but it's chiffon, okay? There's a technique of putting this fabric together, okay? You don't just take chiffon, I'm gonna check it out. Okay? They've done the very thing that I don't want. They've just stitched the chiffon and they overlocked it. People that understand and know fashion, this is what you do. We must kill the person that actually made this for you. When you buy chiffon, you must look on the inside how it's made. If this fabric is overlocked, it's not right. This fabric is supposed to be French seamed and with a very thin needle. So when you buy your clothes, don't just buy it because it's cheap. Buy it because it's quality. We have to finish this class. And as you build yourself as a brand, there's things that we have to do. You have to take time to learn. Learn to be excellent, expose yourself, get to spend time in what you want to specialize in. As a brand, we've collaborated with many. Please prepare the next clip, please. The next video. We've collaborated with so many brands, and from Jockey by Zenith, we showcased underwear this afternoon. We've collaborated with Mercedes-Benz, Volvo, we've collaborated with Courvoisier, we've collaborated with so much because we believe in the power of collaboration and building a brand. As you do so, you become a great brand and you amplify what you do. So I'm going to show you a small video clip with our current collaboration with an amazing shoe brand. If you come to our stand, literally across it, it's a company that is based in Cape Town, South Africa. They manufacture amazing shoes. Just look at this clip quickly.
My name is David Fallon. I'm a fashion designer based in Johannesburg.
Yes.
The relationship with David Fallon and Costume Jones started last year.
Volume, please.
What made me gravitate towards Crockett & Jones is an international brand, but also based in South Africa, because I'm all about proudly made in South Africa. The design process of the shoes was really exciting because I had to work very closely with the head designer for Crockett & Jones. I'm always about collaboration. It's great to partner with a brand that is tested, tried over hundreds of years, but they've been producing amazing quality shoes. For us as a brand, is targeting that classy, timeless, fashionable man that wants to invest in quality shoes, because shoes make a man.
So, in closing, our responsibility as Africans is to buy clothes that are made in Africa. Not shipped to Africa, made in Africa by Africans. Every day you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what is it that I'm wearing that is made in Africa? How am I promoting the clothing and textile industry? How am I saying the person that's got a brand, continue doing this, continue feeding the nation, even the people that are working for you. Next time, I hope we have enough time and we can talk more. All right? Thank you very much.
I'd like to say finally that the time for Africa is now. Do not be discouraged, but specialize. Understand the whole process, but specialize, because there are many opportunities. The problem is we're all trying to be the same thing, do the same things, be the same person. We can specialize, and at the end of the day, there's a whole chain. I mean, he knows it. When we go to New York, in that whole building, people just specialize. So you're going from this to this to this to this, and at the end of the day, you have your product. And if we begin to do that, then we have a whole chain that we support, and then we can supply luxury goods in Africa. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. You want to ask a question? 5 questions and we're done, guys, all right? You want to ask a question?
All right, greetings. My name is Too White, a Gedu poet. I'm so enthralled by what you said about appreciating African products. Now, you have a very profound vision for Africa, and I believe you cannot achieve it alone. I believe you can't achieve it alone. What are you doing to put the word? What are you doing to put the word out so that you can inspire other people to follow the vision. Maybe by having a blog where you write some of the things you conceived in your heart out, or in videos, or in short clips that people can actually watch and be inspired to do what, inspired to implement the vision.
Okay. I'll answer all the questions at the same time. This is the first one.
Next
Another
one.
question there?
Sir, good evening. You were saying something about we Africans not appreciating what we do. That other countries, they copy what we do and they make it theirs and put expenses on it. So can you just explain how we can work more on our products, the things we do, and how we can make it fame in our country, in Africa in whole, and not go to other countries?
Okay. Any other question? All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, no more questions. Oh, did you want to ask something? No, this one, yeah.
Good day. I just wanted to ask, any advice for someone that is about to start up a streetwear brand in Africa?
Okay, streetwear brand in Africa. There's a gentleman there at the back, please, with a black and white hat.
Okay.
Got two. Please come closer.
Please come closer as well, so we make it big. Sorry.
Talk about something about when you do not go for any fashion house to learn. Like you can't be a fashion designer, a real fashion designer. For me, I don't go for any fashion school. But I go under and learn. But what I see about fashion is that it's not all about you going into a fashion school. Because the process by going into a fashion school, you deal with something sketchy only, most times. For me, I'm not using those type of sketching where I can cut something easily and make something good out of it.
Alright.
So basically he's saying apprenticeship and internship. Yes.
But so response.
What about those people, like he said, we are not designers, but we have tailors, we have designers, we have people that can work for us, and we are trying to make it up in a kind of business and an organization we sell this. So what do you think, as the owner and not the designer, what do you think we can do about it?
Okay. Riz, there's the last bench there. And I think the lady in orange wanted to ask something. No. This is the last question, guys.
Hi, it was really informative today. Come here, I can find it. So my question is about stylists. So we've been concentrating a lot on the fashion designers, and I kind of want to know what you think is a stylist niche in Africa. Do you think it's something that can be out there like it's in Hollywood and all these places? Thank you.
All right. So the first question was, what are we doing to inspire more people? Like I said, first of all is collaboration and telling the narrative. If I have to start writing a blog, I'll never get to do my job. That's why you have a PR company as a fashion house that actually amplifies your story and your narrative, that actually amplifies your message. So if you do follow us on Instagram, Instagram is David Tlale, D-A-V-I-D, T-L-A-L-E. You can get to see exactly what we do as a brand, and many other programs that we do.
The second one was how we can push our products locally. Collaborations as well. For instance, if you start out as a photographer and you don't have clients yet, you can collaborate with stylists, with makeup artists, with models, and you all come together and do what you call a TFP or a TFCD. You give your time for CD, and no one gets paid. But together we have created a product, and we push it out on social media. And social media is free for everyone right now. And that from there, the world gets to see your product. Secondly, if you do that at some point, you have to start giving out some products to people and ask them to advertise for you or to influence for you.
And then also, like I mentioned, the artists, the creatives, can get to a point where in their videos, they're putting on African, clothing or products, and they're pushing it out there, and they're mentioning. I mean, listen to a lot of songs, you're hearing Gucci, Ferragamo, blah, 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 my this, my that. If we begin to say, hey, my David Talley, Scalo, and all, then people will hear that more, and they'll hear that outside because we've become the #1 pop culture in the world. And that way we begin to sell our product as well. And I'm saying don't keep your market local, make it international. So you can walk internationally, you can wear international, you can wear local, but don't just limit yourself. And make sure when you decide to put your name on it, it's quality.
Absolutely. So in terms of the people that are self-taught and people that have learned the skill from family or from friends and everything, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing that beats education. Education, nobody can take it from you. When you go to fashion school, you learn so much. You learn about fabrics, you learn about different textiles, you learn about the history of fashion, the history of clothing, how it started from early days to where we are and how it has evolved. And how education helps you, you are able to reinvent yourself, that you are able to set yourself apart from what everybody else is doing. Now the challenge is some people say, but we don't have great fashion schools in Africa, or I don't have the money to do that. There's one thing that we live in this 21st century, the world called internet. You can learn so much on YouTube. Learn so much how to construct a proper corset, how to do a proper tailored jacket, and all those things. But if you do not educate yourself and become a greater person, nobody's going to help you. And I'm not looking down upon anybody that says, I have tailors and everything else. There's another aspect beyond having tailors. It's called trends. You have to understand trends. You have to understand how they evolve. You understand where the trends are. If we don't understand what the trends are, we're going to keep doing the same thing every day. If you specialize in Agbada, it's great. Do your great Agbadas, but how to evolve them? How to make them sexy for the global market? How to take Ankara and make it sexy for the global market? And I think I've answered so many questions. And I just want to say thank you guys for having us here. And I hope we throw like maybe 20 naira information in your information bucket and then get to use it. And yeah, follow me on Instagram and holla. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Reese Bona and David Talley. Thank you so much for that. That was so incredible. All right, ladies and gents, the master classes have officially come to an end, but the show still goes on. We are about to have some incredible performances tonight. Do you know who's performing tonight? Do you know? We have Thames. We have Techno.